when you join a team, you have more meaningful work. Man, doing this by yourself is lonely and it's hard. Most people really aren't driven by money. It's driven by what money can do for them and the options and the choices that you have with money. And at some point, having more money doesn't give you any more fulfillment or joy, because what was the cost to get that?
Agents are not trained to think that they get to say no to a consumer. If I could say one more, make a call. Call.
Welcome to the Reside Platform podcast. I am really excited because we have Courtney and Joe Bourland, a husband and wife team, been in the business for 21 years. They operate a really successful team in Phoenix, Arizona, a team of 15. Really excited because they're part of Reside and they have a wealth of information, tons of experience, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Joe, Courtney, welcome.
Hello, Nick.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, well, good. So, husband and wife team, that's interesting, right? And I think talking to teams across North America, oftentimes I'm surprised at how many partnerships there are. So you guys have a business partnership, but a relationship. So tell me about that. How has that helped you? And how has that what kind of challenges have you seen in the
Depending on the year and day, it started out pretty rough. I'm not going to lie, because we have two different personalities and also we're married. So I feel like there was more of a opportunity to be free with our words while in business because we were married. And we crossed over all of our duties. And then when we're at home in bed and one of us wants something else to happen in bed and the other one's like, but you didn't send that email. Let's talk about that email that you didn't do.
You talked to me wrong today.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was awful and hard, but we are not quitters. And I did not get married so that I could get divorced. And I had 2 children, and those children were going to be raised with their mom and dad in the same house. So right? Okay. So what we did was we had somebody who believed in what our business could be and what our marriage could be. And they said, figure out your lane. And when you figure out what you're good at, what you want to do, and you can write it down and you can illustrate it to your partner, whether it's your husband, your best friend, or just your business associate. And then you respect each other enough to stay in that lane and you respect what the other person is doing because they are in their lane. That allows you freedom. It also allows you to have truth in your relationship, because now at home at night, let's say we're in the bedroom, we don't talk about work. Because I know he said he was going to do this. That's his lane. He's going to do it. And if he doesn't do it tomorrow at work, we'll worry about that. That's a tomorrow problem.
Logistically, what we actually did is wrote everything out that needs to be done for work. And we said, all right, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? What are we hiring out to do? And then that's your task list. And that's my lane. That's her lane. And it was really clear. And we have a spreadsheet that lists it all out, everything that we possibly do at work. And those are defined roles. There's a little overlap that there's a little gray area because it's work. I mean, it's business. You don't exactly know. But once we did that, that was a huge thing for us.
And if I can add, Nick, the final ingredient to that is to hire the right person as the executive assistant or the director of ops that is now in charge of making sure your lanes are under construction correctly and are being built correctly and are done correctly. And when we found this person, she asked us, what level of truth do you want, Joe? What level of truth do you want, Courtney? I said 10. He said, what, 5?
I said 9.
No.
I mean, there's some things I don't want to know.
I think you said 8 or 7. So you allow that person to call you out with respect, reminding us, this was your lane, this is what you wanted. You have to have that third person, in my opinion.
We have very strong opinions, and we don't back down from each other.
Because one of us is usually right.
And when that's the case, we needed somebody else to actually be that kind of intermediary. And the person we hired does a great job of saying, hey, I see your side, but I also see your side, and maybe we could do this as the balance in between. And that was this past, year and a half, 2 years that we've had Stephanie is her role has changed dramatically. Once we had that, then our business really became a true bona fide business where accountability, definition, goal, it just changed everything.
Well, when you look at business and we look at teams and partnerships, and even if you look at Reside, John Sheplack, Preston Guyton, Sanit, and myself, you said it before we got on there, you guys are so different in your personalities. And that's what makes a good partnership, is this complementary. The difference is, but combined, it's something more, right? It's 1 + 1 is 3. And it sounds cliche, but oftentimes when partnerships have the same skill set, the same attitude, the same personality, you get groupthink, but they step on each other's toes in terms of what they're doing, what their to-do list is. So hearing you guys say to actually break it apart, this is yours, this is mine, I own it, and then we can move forward with that and trust that you guys are going to do that.
Yeah.
And how different is it with a team member? I mean, a team is, not everyone is the same. I think when I hear diversity, I think diversity of backgrounds, experience, skill set, knowledge, and what do you bring to the table? So how does that relate to your team members? What do you look for in a great team member?
Well, one thing, she and I have the same core beliefs. Like at the core, like we're very similar in our belief system. So everything else that we are different than that, that's when we have that difference. But we want, in the end, the same thing, and we think about it the same thing. So that's a marriage, right? You should have that core thing. And then as a business partner, we want that as well. But we have a really diverse group of agents, like really diverse group of agents that with us. But at the core of it, you have to have a servant's heart. You got to be willing to serve your clients, because that's the core of everything. And if you don't have that, you're not a right fit for our team. We can train you if you don't have the skill set. You got to have the will, and you got to have the desire to just be that servant for the client at the core of everything.
So and that's a core value. And so if you're interviewing an agent right now, how do you find out if they have that? How do you discover that?
It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe it's a sixth sense, because you can tell in having the conversations if it's all about them and it's not about what is about us as a company. If they're not asking questions about us and who we are and what we are, then they don't care about what we are, who we are. They just want whatever it is for themselves. And that's just probably not the right fit for us.
And so it's a servant value. Servant's heart. How do you identify that and acknowledge that in your organization, right? Because how do you shine a spotlight on your agents that are demonstrating that, so that you get more of it? Like what areas of the business can you see that as a leader?
We have our core values, and they're all over our wall, thanks to Reside and all of the Reside members posting pictures on the Reside internal platform about where their core values are on their wall. So I love that accountability. But we weekly give out the core value award, and sometimes it's to the producer, and sometimes when you're living in core values, you have a tendency to grow at a faster rate. But we give out the awards for core values. We give out the awards for showing up. We give out the awards for participation. We give out the awards for trying. We don't give awards for or celebrate for contracts and closings, because that's the result of all of the item KPIs, right? Yeah. We all know that. Yeah. Effort. All about effort. Yes. We never cared what our kids' grades were. We cared how hard they tried. And it's funny because our awards are, they're goofy, like, the big Mardi Gras beads, necklaces. That's goofy. But people don't care about the actual, here's your physical award. They care about being seen and heard, because they're tired, they're exhausted, they're failing because it's so hard right now. But they show up and they work, and we celebrate that. And it's so fun. I thought, because I would get butthurt if someone got an award and I didn't, because I'm very competitive and I'm trying to change my personality, whatever. But these agents, when they would get, this guy would get, you get the core value, you showed up, you did that, everybody else is celebrating and cheering. And it just makes me so happy. That's when you know you have the right people, because they're so interested in the success of the person next to them.
Mm. So that's a weekly award, a core value recognition. Joe, is that right? And so how do you take me into that? Take me into that meeting. How do you think about awarding that? How do you present it to the people?
Okay, so remember what lanes we talked about before? That's not my lane.
Okay.
Anything so contract questions, training, role playing, follow-up boss. That they go to Joe. They know, right? He's like you, Nick. He knows every number, everything. Spreadsheet, like you talked to Preston this morning. Spreadsheet, got it. Joe can have a spreadsheet too in a second. For me, it's your heart, your fire, your passion. You got this. Your motivation. And having both is so good because you can see on the role play. Yesterday we had role play and there was an agent that was kind of down. And I'm like, all right. I used to have to do the Ziegler thing every morning with my dad. He would say I like yourself 5 times in a row. And I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine me 13 in the car with your dad? I like myself. 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 But now it's so powerful. So we would say yesterday to an agent that was down, I want you to repeat after me. I am good at role play. I am good at conversations. I am good at this. I know this industry. But repeat these things over and over, and by the end of it, she's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's so funny because I run the role plays and I do here's our role play. We're working through scenarios and scripting and that kind of thing. And I get a little oblivious sometimes to the emotional component of what somebody may be going through. That's just not my strong suit. She's really good at that. So she stepped in, saw somebody was struggling on an emotional level. She stepped up, took over that emotional component, and then we did role play again. And then that agent was way better because she got that pep talk that she saw.
Yeah.
That's her skill set. She's not good at like getting role play going and doing those scripting and things. That's my role. And now we know that it's like, okay, take over because this is your wheelhouse. And I'm going to step back in when it's time to actually go over the scripting on whatever we're working on.
So you run the role plays, Joe.
Yes.
And that kind of leads me down to this path. I think we can't tell people what to do. We can't inspire people by telling them what to do for very long. And we can't really make agents do things because they're independent contractors and they're, we're in the United States and we're rugged individualism and, types of things like that. Right. But you get the right person in the room in the right environment, they're going to choose to be productive. So tell me about your team in terms of the value prop you're bringing, the environment so that they are productive. Because, frankly, you join a team because leadership, training, leads, opportunity, community, that is an abundance where you're going to have more deals, more support, less errors, less judgment, but also more interactions with people. And I think a lot of people get into real estate because they want to be near people. So, getting more deals I think a lot of people get it backwards. They think, oh, more deals is lower split, more deals, more work, less pay. Well, no. Do you like people? More people, more relationships, more enjoyment, more fulfillment, more meaningful work, longer career, happier person. So I didn't give you the answer, but I just teed it up for you.
Well, you said something more meaningful work. I really like that. I'm going to steal that because when you join a team, you have more meaningful work. Man, doing this by yourself is lonely and it's hard. And you need that person next to you that is, we had call night last night. And so our agents come into the office and they call in our ponds and it's just straight, warm calls, basically leads that come in, they're just calling them. And so we're celebrating that. You can hear other people talking and you hear the agents, interacting with each other and being excited because they had a conversation and got somebody to an appointment. Do that by yourself in a house. It is not the same thing. It is your life is just not as good if you're not on a team where that camaraderie is there. Mm. So yeah, that's a huge component to what we do. And we, have a physical office that people come into and we want that. That's a big piece of what we do. Most of the stuff that we do could be online, I guess, but on our Reside meetings, you see us in the board, we have our big long table, we bring everybody in and yes, they could be at home for those meetings and the trainings, but man, it's one more fun when we're all together doing that. That's a huge piece of what we offer.
We offer also, like, we have our Tuesday trainings or contract doctoring, deal doctoring. There's, and the thing you had mentioned earlier about you want somebody that's walking the walk with you. Joe is making the calls at call night. Joe is in the follow boss with them. Joe is helping writing the emails. Joe is helping doing all of that hands-on. He's going on buyer consults. He's going to listing appointments. He doesn't work with the clients as much as he used to, obviously. But it's nice when a buyer or an agent is sitting there, has a buyer consult scheduled, because we do have some ISAs working. Thank you, Sneak. But the agent doesn't feel alone. So he can go in and he can edify the agent in front of the client. And you can't get that alone.
I just went on a listing appointment. One of our agents said, hey, I've never seen you do a listing presentation. Will you do it for me with a client that she's been working with? This will be a buy and sell deal. I'm like, sure, what the heck? And so I did my listing presentation, and afterwards we're leaving, and I call her because she's in her own car. I'm like, hey, what did you think? What did you learn? And I said, tell me, what did I do that you thought was bad? Like, I want to learn right now. I've been doing this for 2 decades, and I still want to learn. What do you think there's an area of improvement that I could be doing right now? And I don't think that's a typical thing that most team leaders are doing, is taking somebody along that journey and then being humble enough to say, yeah, where did I screw up? Because I think that's such a huge piece for anybody wanting to learn and continue to be good at something.
It's interesting because I do the same thing. I mean, we're part of Reside together, and I'm going to do live demonstration calls in about an hour. Well,
by the way.
And it's interesting because I'm going to be doing it in Jessica's account in Connecticut. I've never been to Connecticut. I don't know where it's at. But Joe, one of the things I'm going to ask everybody who are new to the industry, 7 years in the industry, I have, over almost 2 decades as well, thousands of transactions. I'm going to ask them, give me feedback. How do I improve? What questions didn't I ask? And it's not like a gotcha moment. It's like, I want to get better always.
Yeah.
And I think what we're doing right now is we're talking to the person that is quote unquote experienced. And I want to talk to that experienced agent because I'm experienced. Courtney, you're experienced. Joe, you're experienced, right? Why would an experienced agent join a team? Teams are for new agents.
Right.
Oh, really? Like, how fulfilled are you? How lonely are you? Let's get underneath it, because I've been a solo agent selling a lot of homes, like you said, and I was miserable, so lonely. I was so lonely. And so how do we, as team leaders and brokers and leaders in the industry, bring experienced agents in with an open mind? What fulfillment are they going to get on a team besides more deals, right? More deals, more money, right?
That's the second thing you said there, more money. Most people really aren't driven by money. It's driven by what money can do for them and the options and the choices that you have with money. And at some point, having more money doesn't give you any more fulfillment or joy, because what was the cost to get that? And so really, I think we need to break down what sort of life does somebody want? Because that's really all we really want in the end. People are going to chase money and that's going to be their thing. And okay. But what sort of fulfilled life are you going to have with a team or without a team? And at that point, then we talk about value and take a step back and look to see, is my life better? Am I working less? Is it more enjoyable? Do I have camaraderie and I'm making the same amount of money? I'd probably trade that every day of the week. If I'm getting more and making the same, yeah, that's a good life. And if you want more money, okay, how do we increase that to get you more money so you can have more things or more options?
Yeah, I agree in so many facets, and I think an opportunity that experienced agents haven't experienced yet is one in which they can join a team and give back and contribute to people that are struggling or having wins. And at what point in your career are you going to start giving back to the industry that gave you so much? Let's say you're successful. When are you going to get back? Right? It's like the Tony Robbins thing. If you can't give a dime out of $1, you're not going to give 100,000 out of $1 million. or 1 million out of 10 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so oftentimes when at our teams and Reside, anything like that is like, okay, start teaching right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody start giving back and contributing now. You know, share, ask questions, be open. And that energy is really, it's quite meaningful and profitable in terms of your soul and your spirit. And I think at the end of the day, I want to look back at my career and not regret the time I had in my career.
And you don't remember the units that you sold at the end of the career. You remember the experiences. And there's like little tweaks that you can do, like on our role plays. How many role plays have you been on? And then there's the buyer, the client, or the client and the agent, and then the team leader is critiquing, and then they move on. You lose so much engagement from all of the other people on the role play because after a while, it's kind of boring. So what we have done is we have the agent, the consumer, and the critiquer. And the critiquer's not Joe. Now he will add in, right? But we've had non-Bourland real estate team guests on our role plays and that are a higher producing agent. And when we're asking them to be the critiquer, they do have value. And when you have value and you provide it, you actually kind of feel better and you feel good and you want to be around that. And those are just little tweaks that we have found that have brought bigger agents to our team and our organization, as well as team leaders, kept the engagement high on role play. And how many times you've been on a Zoom and the people, it's like this, because they're working. They use that hour as a time to get emails done and they're not engaging. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves, truly. So when you're telling hey, you're the critiquer now, everybody has to be paying attention. And it's funny, your conversion rate went up. Imagine that.
And what's really interesting is when you so our team is very critical in a good way. They're not going to say, hey, that was a good call. I thought you did a good job. That helps nobody. No, we're brutal. Like when people are new to our team, they're just like, are you serious? Like, yeah, this is open critiquing about how they get better. We get on their we talk about their tonality. What were you like asleep when you were talking? Literally, did you like get in a car wreck when you were on this phone call? Like we love them. But the whole point is we want them to get better. And once the people trust the fact that, no, the critiques that we're giving are truly so you get better at your craft. You get better as a professional. And saying that, hey, that was a good call. You got the appointment. It helps nobody. And then once people get enveloped in that manner, our role plays are great. And the critiques are actually the really important thing.
I've seen agents who rise up, get experience, and have success drop, their production goes down, and you kind of wonder why. And it's because they stopped being challenged, they stopped learning, they stopped growing. One of my agents, she was very successful as a physical therapist and a long-standing career. And I asked her, I said, why did you get into real estate? Why did you join my team? You know, kind of, I want to understand why you take the successful career. You were like high up in the system. She said, I was no longer challenged. So top performers, they want to be challenged. They want to be rewarded. They want to accomplish, and they want to be challenged. And so you have this environment of critique. Don't be scared of that. That's growth.
Right.
What is, to kind of take a 90-degree turn here, you know, tell me about like a defining moment in your guys' careers, your real estate careers, that led you to where you are today. Like you've had ups and downs, but what, defining moment in your career?
It was, I think, 2.5 years ago. We were exactly what you just said about that lady. We were so bored. We were one of the top teams at our brokerage, and we did that in our sleep, and we were just bored. Our oldest son was already in Chicago at college. Our youngest son was getting ready to move to Europe to go to college, and we took our business and we put it in a snow globe and we shook it up, and overnight we changed companies, And we needed all of the snow to fall down into the right spaces this time because it wasn't before. That was the most defining moment. And that's where about a month after that, we looked at each other and we said, maybe we should get a divorce and sell our business. This was a bad idea. And then we met.
You said that. I didn't.
I may have said that more than once. And then I'm a Uber stalker. We have some. Anyway, I stalked and followed John Cheplack to Las Vegas, and he was in a hallway at a hotel. And we
weren't going to the event. Let's not think like you actually drove up there.
Okay. Well, whatever. And I approached him, and I'm like, I need to be in your organization. And we have a connection with heart issue with kid and stuff. And he was a little taken aback, and I'm like, no, I'm going to be in your organization. From that point, I started coaching with Veronica and then Sunit, and now here we are with Reside. We had somebody kick our ass and say, this is what you say you want, but you're doing these things over here. So if this is what you want, you need to do these things over here. And that's what happened, because I want to be with this man. I want to marry this man, marry him. I want to be with him. I want to have a huge business, not based on numbers, but based on what we've been talking about. Are the people's lives better because they're associated with us? Fantastic. I could cry, so I'm going to stop talking, but that was probably the defining moment for me. Joe?
The one that comes to mind was the second deal I ever did a long time ago. And I had the option to not be forthright with a client. And it was, I can't remember exactly what the details were, but I just remember the feeling, because that's what we remember, is that I had this option to withhold some information and have a deal close, or tell them the information and potentially it's going to fall out. And back then, like, we needed the money.
Yes.
I mean, I needed the money. This is a huge commission check for us. I think it was a $150,000 house, way back in the early 2000s. It was a big deal. And, young kids at home, wife, like, this was like my second deal after so many months. And I remember sitting there thinking, that's not what I'm going to do. Like, that's not how I'm going to start this business. Being an honest guy, I consider myself honest and ethical and moral. That one little decision, I could see how people go the other way, and then it changed the trajectory of who they are, because then it's okay. And then
it's easy to do that.
Had the conversation, deal so closed. And, at that point, it's like, I validated who I am, what I am, and how I do business.
Well, there's a reason why you guys have been in business for 21 years, right? Two decades, 21 years and going, is because of those defining moments. And to Courtney's points, very well said. People that start teams that I've noticed is in brokerages teams, they're doing it to give back to agents. Now there's money. Yeah, there's opportunity for a team to grow, but we can talk off air. we talk off air, and you can make more money selling on your own.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. But the team's there because they want to bring people in and see them have an impact on their life. And it's a win-win, because if they're successful, then everyone's successful. And it's such an amazing thing that, the future of real estate, how is it not teams? I mean, we said this 10 years ago. I started my team 12 years ago. It's like, this is the future. It's just, it is growing. And I don't think that's going to change. You see these lawsuits and you see these over all these other things. I think that's just going to push people to more teams.
I agree.
And it's better for the client experience, by the way, because you get agents that specialize in sellers. You have transaction managers that specialize in contracts. This is a better thing for the consumer, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah,
you can't do it all on our own. And if you try to, you go crazy.
All trades master nothing.
Yeah. And as you start getting that, above 60, 70 deals a year by yourself, even at 40, that's 4 a month. That's 1 a week. That's a lot to deal with. And if you're trying to do everything, that client experience is suffering
greatly.
Absolutely.
And I think what, you never want to hire, here's a script. You never want to hire an agent that needs the commission more than you need to sell your house. You never want to hire an agent that needs you to buy the house more than you want to buy or need the house to improve the quality of your life. And so that goes to your decision-making process, right? Joe, it's like part of the reason I started a team in an organization was I was also put in situations out of being desperate for money, broke, very few opportunities, no support, right? A mortgage payment due in a month, student loans I got to pay.
Yeah.
And I
don't know what you're talking about.
And I got one opportunity to get a closing here. And if I say one thing, I know it's going to move the needle. If I say another thing, which is probably the right advice, that could cost it. And what do? That's a gray area. I mean, everyone is in those situations. And I remember just having that sinking feeling in my gut and in my heart. And I'm like, I got to do the right thing. And then when I was like, when I joined, it's like a defining moment for me. When I start a company, a team, I'm going to build it in which my people are going to be put in that situation less often.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't eliminate it totally, but I want them to be able to not even have to face that.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I get them deals faster? How do I get them more opportunities? How do I separate separation of duties so that you don't have that list dual agency thing and this conflicts, removing the conflicts. I mean, that's what you're talking about, right? Now, when it comes to being productive, time management is really important.
Yep.
What are your tips that you can help team leaders and agents on time management? You can choose either or and then go there.
Which one do you want?
Well, I'm going to say,
share?
You got a time block. You have to, we've been recently talking about this, non-negotiables. You have to have your things that you're doing. If I pull up my calendar right now, it started, I'm at the gym at 5:30. I don't miss it. I tell, we have an exchange student here and he comes with me and I said, we leave at 5:15, not 5:16. We leave at 5:15 to go to the gym. And it's very scripted day. And then the afternoon gets a little bit, wonky as kind of stuff happens in, but that before 10 o'clock, it is a hard thing from 5:30 until about 11 o'clock. Most days for me, I'm locked in and there isn't much wiggle room there because we pre-planned our week to make sure that we're successful doing what we're supposed to be doing. And then the rest of the whirlwind that happens is, you just know that's going to take place. So you get as much done as you possibly can.
Well, and when it comes to our agents, we sit down with each one of them. We go over the importance of time blocking a calendar. And it's funny, the onboarding with Reside goes over that and they love that. Kelly Ferrari loves those classes, by the way. But we've given our agents permission. What are your 3 non-negotiables? You get to decide your non-negotiables. What are they? Where are they in your calendar? Now you have permission. If a client wants to see a house at that time, you get to tell that client no, that you already have a standing appointment and you can show them at a different time. Agents are not trained to think that they get to say no to a consumer. So we give them that opportunity and realize that your time blocking and your calendar is the most important component of your business. And I wish somebody would have told me that 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's interesting because over the last 3-4 years, give or take, with 2019, 2020, lockdown, COVID, and you're in Arizona, so maybe you guys even have a lockdown. I don't know.
Not as much.
Not as much as Washington State, but
not as bad as Washington State.
But we did, no matter what, regardless of the pandemic, we had a boom, a housing boom, where even multiple offers, everyone wanted to buy. More agents got into the industry than ever, and people were chasing freedom. And they were told you could control your own schedule. You could live where you want, when you want, do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, right out of the gate. And now we're shifting back to the truth. And that is, this is a full-time commitment job or a career.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
This
That's what I
is
say.
a lifestyle.
Talk to me about that. So it's not a job, a career, it's a lifestyle. Talk to me about that. What is
this may be an unpopular opinion, and maybe you're not supposed to say this because the health doctors say you're supposed to get a lot of sleep, but get your ass out of bed in the morning. I'm sorry. People that are not up before 7 o'clock, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
You're wired that way. Perfect. I get it.
Whatever somebody's time is, and maybe they go to sleep at 3 or 4 in the morning. Okay. We're up early. And the idea is, Miracle Morning, read that book.
Yes.
Atomic Habits, another great book to get you set up for success. And Al, a guy on our team, he was getting up at 6:30, 7 o'clock.
He's 21.
Yeah. Great kid. Been on our team for a couple of years now. And he now gets up at 4:30 in the morning. He said, man, I just feel like I'm behind if I don't get up by 4:30 or 5, that the day I'm catching up to the day versus having the day in front of me and able to handle it. And it's just such a different mindset.
Do you understand what happens to your psyche when by 9 o'clock in the morning, you've already accomplished 4 things? Like the eat the frog thing, right? If you have to eat a frog every day, eat it first thing so that you're not thinking about it and dwelling about it all day. We all know that. Get up, make your bed, and get some stuff done. And your whole mentality about yourself changes. And our biggest enemy is not our enemy. Our biggest enemy is our mind and our negative self-talk. And sorry, but women and moms, we are just the worst at talking bad about us. Because at night, before we go to bed, we think, I failed as a parent. I didn't do this good enough. I need to do this better. And here's how a guy goes to bed. Right? And then in the morning when we get up, a guy pops up and there he goes. I love men. I love men. I have 3 brothers. I love them. And 2 sons.
My husband.
But when a woman gets up, the first thing they say is, I didn't do good enough. I didn't raise my kids. I messed up. So when you can get up and you can have a couple wins out the jump, the psyche for a woman, man, it matters. It matters.
Is that right?
I want to touch one more thing on the lifestyle piece. Because real estate is so demanding, you could do it 24 hours a day, literally. 24 hours a day, you can do something in real estate. You do have to define when you're shutting stuff down. But frankly, when we're on trips and things, if I need to make a phone call, it's a 5-10 minute phone call. People will say, well, you're on vacation. You can't possibly work. And yes, you do have some disconnect time, but we've just set it up to where it's just who we are. It's okay to take a phone call. If we were in Greece and I had to take a phone call and do something, that's fine. Because the rest of the trip, I'm actually in Greece.
And I get that one phone call you took at that funeral, though. That's where we had a conversation, but that's for a different podcast.
Well, yeah, that's a different. It is. We go over this in onboarding as well, where it's coming to the conclusion or discovery that this is who you are. This is part of your life. It's woven within it. It's not on and off. It's too hard to go on and off. Right. I think we were trained through public schooling and also traditional jobs that you clock in through the Industrial Revolution and manufacturing. You clock in, you clock out. You got break times and you got lunch times and you got 2 weeks of vacation a year.
And we live for that.
Right? And your employer can't tell you what to do when you're not on the clock.
Yep.
But all of a sudden you're in real estate. You're the boss. You're the employer. You're the entrepreneur. And it's like, and the consumer, guess what? They've been trained. They've been trained. When does Amazon close?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When does Facebook Meta turn off? Go on vacation. No, the consumer's trained. Zillow, is Zillow always open? Yeah, they're trained that they want access. And the agents that don't fight that, they embrace it and understand that, like Joe said, it's a barbell. You can't go on vacation unless you're willing to go through an airport and security and pack your bags and do your planning. Like, yeah, there's a lot of crappy things you got to do to get to Greece, right? Are you willing to do that? For sure. It's a barbell. There's good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, so you got to take a 5-minute phone call on vacation. Big deal. You're on vacation. That's how you got there. So it's a lifestyle. That's so good. It's so important for people to understand that. Now, to kind of wrap it up at the end, I think, in today's environment, business is important. Opportunities are important. And sales are down in a lot of the areas because of low inventory. Prices here or there. I mean, we're not saying the market's good or bad. I'm just saying there's, fewer sales. What are you guys doing that's working in marketing? Talk to me about marketing. Talk to me about lead generation. Give some tips, strategies, insights.
So we pushed back on the whole social, I can't even say it, social media component. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that are like us that, who's going to be interested in what I have to say, right? Oh, I'm a has-been. I'm 50 years old, raising, And we were challenged, thank you to our friends at Reside, to have people that hold you accountable, to put out as much content as we could. So I started doing that, and I'll be darned, it's free. And we actually have business. We closed a $1.8 million deal because of it. We have 3 in escrow right now because of it. And it's free.
Really?
Then you up that and you specialize. And and we have no idea what we're doing. So we're clear. You up it. What town do you work in? Now go start a YouTube channel, promote that town, and you're going to get so much organic business that we're in the process of doing that right now. And you got to get to a point where you're just like, I'm just going to do it. And we'll just start doing it. And golly sakes, if it doesn't work.
So, and when we're talking social, this is the video component. Yeah, because I noticed you too on video a lot.
Yeah, it's the video component, and it's uncomfortable.
Let's make it real clear. Neither of us really want to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Let's be clear. It's about, this is something that is inexpensive. It takes some time, and it's evergreen. It lasts forever, and we're going to get the results, not necessarily instantly, but over time, it is definitely going to come back. And we've seen that and realized that, especially talking to Joe Rodriguez, Hal and Chris Snow, all have these, YouTube channels, and we're talking to them, and these guys are like, no, our main form of marketing and business is from that. Hey, we need to pay attention to what these other guys are doing. They're being successful at, and especially in today's market, we need to pivot and shift to do something that we didn't want to do, was uncomfortable. We didn't know how to do it. And so now we're like, hey, let's just do it.
And people like real. And another thing that we're doing is we're Uber farming. And I see, 1984. But guess what's free? Door knocking. Get your community and actually go door knock. Actually go provide items of value. And all of this stuff sounds like 1984 is happening again. But guess what? 1984 is happening again. Go knock on doors, provide items of value, take your entire team. We're sales blitzing an entire neighborhood, and there's 400 homes on it. There's 15 of us. We can do all of them in a couple hours. Those type of things. Another one that's free, join your Chamber of Commerce and go to all the functions. They're all free. All free. And there's always an insurance agent and there's always a realtor. That's fine. But there's not a realtor that's you.
You better.
Yes. There's not one that's you. Go be you at these functions that are free. People do actually want to meet you. Whoever you are, they do want to meet you.
I love the networking aspect of it, because here's the thing. I see agents all the time. Hey, Nick, which one should I join? Because that one already has an agent, and that one already has an agent, and that one already. This isn't a Venn diagram experiment where you're trying to figure out the one organization without an agent.
Right.
Here's a hot tip. Maybe the people in that Rotary group or chamber group don't want to do business with that agent. Do you think all 100 people want to work with Joe? I know, Joe, you're amazing, right? But maybe they don't connect with him.
Right.
Maybe you connect with him, and you think that agent is consistent enough to show up every single time. So just pick the best one that you align with, that you want to commit to, and you want to show up at, and you're going to win long term.
Yep.
But I also want to
what else is going to happen, Nick, is that you're going to get energized, because you being around other people is energizing. So there's an added bonus to you getting out in the public and talking to people. And then if I could say one more, make the calls. Call. You're on a team. Your team leader has a database of phone or contacts that aren't being called. Call them.
I'm going to tell you, to piggyback on that, the other thing that everybody needs to just be consistent.
Yeah.
Like literally, just be consistent doing anything. Have a plan, be consistent. Get some discipline, be consistent. If it's an hour a day, half hour a day, 3 hours a day, it doesn't matter. Just do the same thing consistently and it will work.
And do it one more thing, one more time. If you book out, I'm making 20 calls a day. You know what? Just do one more. Do 21. I'm going to send an open house for an hour. Sit in for an hour and a half. I'm going to go to one mastermind. I'll go to 2. One more thing, one more time. Don't stop. 5 mail cards a day. Nah, do 6.
On the video front, I think people, they know, I know I need to do video. Oh, I want to do video. I know it works. Well, we don't get paid for knowing what works. We get paid for doing what works.
My favorite thing to my kids is when they would get in trouble, you tell them, hey, you're not supposed to do this. And they say, I know. I said, I know you know, and that's what makes it worse.
What's getting in the way? Now, on the video front, take me into tactics. Are you using your phone? Do you have a videographer? Are you doing?
No, I use my phone. It's all, and this is probably the greatest thing that will send Joe and I into a divorce is I'm his producer and editor and director, and he doesn't listen. But this truly is all that we do. And I will tell you, the days that I'm in hair and makeup and I've got my great little videos, 1,000, 2,000 views. When I look like absolute shit, 100,000 views. Right? No, I'm going to tell you, just be you. Just be you. Use your phone. Here's a cheap, our Zoom light is like this big. There are some people that have a Zoom light that's like this. It's this big. Just be you.
Yeah. One of my friends, Morgan Housel, he wrote a book, Psychology of Money, and his newest book just came out, and he was on the Tim Ferriss show. And not to name drop, but to say something he said, I don't write about anything that's new. Right. And I think so many people have blocks when it comes to writing, and video is the same thing, that they think you need to say something unique, new, innovative. It's like, no, you need to just go on there and say what that may have been said before, but it's you.
Here's a quick tip. Put your phone up, however you prop your phone up, and just record yourself for an hour or 2 hours working in a listing presentation, whatever. You will find so much content in just recording what you do in a day. Sometimes I'll just have my camera showing on him and he doesn't know it, but I come up with so much content because he's on the phone. There's a great tip, right? There's so much. And another tip, you don't need to worry about how to make those cute little reels and all those transitions. Don't worry about it. Just do it.
Yeah, there's trends right now where the more authentic, organic it looks, real life it looks, the better it's trending. There's some Sam Sulik. There's just like the really buff guy that's trending. He's just like
himself.
No thumbnails, no edits, no captions, and he's crushing, right? So, it's a pendulum. We're going to go back to fancy edits, Mr. Beast, and then everyone's going to do that. And then people are going to shift to stand out. It's always about that. You're never going to find the formula that works forever. What works is doing it. So people need to be inspired and modeled. Like, they want to model you. They want to see what you're doing. They can learn more about EXP and your experience there. They can learn about Reside and your experience there. They can learn about joining your team or getting to know you guys better, or just follow you from afar. Right? How do they do that? How do they find you?
All this stuff.
Well, Courtney, everything on Facebook or Instagram is Courtney Bourland, Courtney.Bourland, Courtney Bourland. And then Joe is all Joe Arizona or Joe Arizona Homes. Our website is Joe Arizona. Preston's making us change it to Joe Arizona Homes. Everything on Facebook, it's Joe Bourland or Joe Arizona.
We talked about how humble you are, but these are two very successful people in their personal life, in their professional life. And also, we didn't talk about it, but they invest in properties. They're building wealth. So follow them on their videos, imitate them. You're in your own marketplace, and then innovate. Follow us. Do the same thing. People rip off my emails all the time.
I do.
My wife's like, are you mad? Is there proof? You should get it licensed or copyrighted. I'm like, no, it's a compliment. I'm cool.
Good, because they do it all the time.
Spread the word. Well, we really appreciate you too. You guys are huge contributors to the Reside platform and all our communities. And I see why people want to join your team and stay in your team, because you definitely are putting the environment in which they will be successful and have a better career, long-standing career.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really.
Really,
You and all you guys do, man.
really honored. Really honored.